Hey Wheelies, Matt here. I just wanted to pop on really quick and sort of explain this episode. We weren't sure this one would ever see the light of day. It was actually recorded over a year ago, and at the time, it wasn't the right time to release it. But we had some conversations right before the 4th of July, and the person that we interviewed feels like this is the time. And if this message can help people, then she's willing to expose herself and to be vulnerable and to be open in a way that she's never been. Much less to a couple people, but to all of our listeners, because we believe and she believes that this will help people. Paige and I have done our absolute best at showing you what recovery is and isn't from various different paths of recovery, but ultimately what it takes to rebuild a relationship. We know what that looks like. And in doing that, you will also hear what it looks like when someone's not doing that. But what we haven't had is someone come on and tell the story about what it's like to rebuild your life, what it's like to be with someone that you think you're going to be with forever, and start to think about, what if I had to leave and what would that look like? What would my finances look like? What would that relationship with the kids look like afterward? How would I manage everything logistically? She gives you her testimony. She tells you her story and gives you answers to all those things. We think it's going to be helpful in a way that Paige and I could never be. And it's hugely valuable to our listeners. We cannot wait for you to hear this one. It's also going to be a little out of date in the sense that we might mention things that are no longer happening in the TUFO universe. If you're not in our community, check out our community, follow us on social media, and you'll get the latest and greatest as to what we're up to, when upcoming workshops are going to be held, all that kind of stuff. Also, hey, SoberLink's not mentioned. If you don't know what SoberLink is by now, where have you been? SoberLink is a company that we actually believe in. We have a very special relationship with our audience, and we don't take on many advertisers. In fact, we're the only one we've ever actually said yes to. We've had many offers, but we will not shill products that we don't believe in and don't believe that they can actually make a difference in people's lives. SoberLink can do that. If you're someone like me and you're trying to reestablish trust, you're going to find it's really difficult because trust is lost in buckets and it's rebuilt in droplets. It takes a very long time. It's changed behaviors over a long period of time that makes people feel safe around you again, that they can trust you again. But I think SoberLink could actually expedite that. Listen, if you're someone like me and you've lied about drinking before, you've hid bottles and they've been found, and there's been that betrayal of trust, it's almost impossible for people to take your word for it. So SoberLink can help you there, right? You sign up people who you trust in your network who are supporting your sobriety journey, your recovery journey, and they get notified each time you use the device. Like, there's no way to hide, right? Like, they can look at you and say, you look a little sleepy today, but I can also see that you tested negative on SoberLink. So, okay, it helps them reestablish what sleepy actually looks like for you, right? It also, if you don't do the deal, it gives them validation that I knew you were drunk and I've got the proof right here, right? So if you're serious, what do you have to lose? What do you have to hide? Get a SoberLink and show people that you're damn serious this time. This thing it's an amazing high-tech device too, right? It's going to provide accurate data. It's got military-grade facial recognition technology. It is tamper-proof. You cannot screw with it. For any other breathalyzer, if there's a way around it, SoberLink has thought of that, and they have made it so that you cannot jack with it, right? I'm very creative, and I always found ways to get around things. You're not going to do that here. Now, on the flip side of this, if you were in a relationship that has just reached the point of no return, and at this point, you're just trying to make sure your kids are going somewhere safe, SoberLink has got you covered there too. It's court admissible in all 50 states and in Canada, and is considered the gold standard in court, so that you know your kids are going somewhere where there's going to be a sober adult, and that peace of mind is priceless. SoberLink's offering our listeners 50% off a device. That's 50% off. Just use our link, soberlink.com/wheels. Enter your email address, receive a promo code, which you can enter and receive 50% off a device. Again, that's soberlink.com/wheels. So support the companies that support our show and our mission and what we're trying to do. And we hope that you guys enjoy this episode. This one's going to be massive. We've been waiting forever for this one to come out. And to the person that made this all possible, thank you. And we love you. And I think everyone else is going to too. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Till the Wheels Fall Off. I'm Matt.
I'm Paige. And I'm Jenny.
Ooh.
Who is that?
We have a guest today. We've got a good one in store. Get ready for this. But first, let's get some announcements out of the way. We've still got merch available. I'm going to be honest. I think we just have larger sizes. right
Yes, we have 2X and XLs
now. Yep. So
and lots of stickers.
if you want something oversized and comfy, get it while you can. Got shirts coming out here soon. We're finalizing those designs right now. I've been working on them all day. I still haven't sent them to you. I'm scared.
I'm like, oh, this is new
scared
to
what
me.
you're going to say, but we'll see. We've got a giveaway going on inside the community. If you're not already in the community, check out Tufo Community. You can find that by checking out the links in any of our social media profiles. We are giving away a 40-ounce Stanley. I know how you guys like Stanleys. It's got a poem engraved on the side of it, which you can check out by going to our blog on tufo.com. It's called There's a Fire Inside. We'll be giving it away to the community member that engages the most. Not just posts the most or likes the most or reacts the most. It's actual engagement. So people that are putting themselves out there to help others. And it does so much for your own recovery when you do that because you have to engage. It's like when you teach someone to do something, you truly know it.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you think you don't have something to give away, you do. Get out there, help each other. It will help you as well. What else did I have? We just talked about this.
I know. Didn't you write it down? Where are your notes?
I think that's it. Let's just go with that.
I think you're good. Oh, courses. We still have courses. We have a mini course, which is the relationship evaluation course. It's the beginning of the course. It's the first module that'll give you a taste, and then it'll help you figure out what you're going through in the moment. And then we have our main course, which is Independently Strong on independentlystrong.com, or you can go to tufo.com and use code Wheelies75 for 75% off.
That's Wheelies with an S, 75% off. That is a founder's round. So once those are sold out, it will be a regular price.
Yep.
And I think that does it. So, okay, this episode, I'm just so pumped. And full disclosure, Paige and I have never heard this story. Never heard the story. So Jenny is someone that we've known for, gosh, it's like 12, 15 years now.
Yeah.
And you've always been like an enigma to me. Like when we started this podcast and whenever I was getting, because you knew me like right before I got sober. You know, it's right before I got sober. And then a little bit after, I remember you said something to me. I can't remember what it was. It was like, I'm really proud of you. But the way you said it, it's like, you knew something. Like, you know things. And it's just never been the appropriate time to talk about it because we're always in like settings with a bunch of people, or you're usually hosting and I can't like pull you aside and be like, what do you know? You know, you have secrets,
I want to pick your brain.
You have secrets, but so this will be the first time we've heard it. So if we sound shocked, that's not performative. Like, this is just the first time that we've ever heard this story. But I know there's a lot to it, and I think it's going to be huge. I think you're only the third guest we've ever had. We had Steve Christine, we had Dr. Taylor. You forgot about Dr. T.
Sorry.
Do you hear that, Chris?
I know.
God. and then it's going to be you. So we don't do this a lot.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So give us a bit of background just on you, like 30,000 foot view on who you are today. Like, what do you do? Like, not exactly, but you know, professional. Take us away.
Yeah. I am a 51-year-old female executive in the insurance space. Spent, 28 years, I guess, in the insurance profession. Mother of two, multiple grandchildren at this point, and live here in Dallas now.
Originally from Missouri.
Originally from Missouri.
And a proud daughter of Missouri.
Absolutely. Let's go Cards.
Let's go Cards. Let's go Cards. Okay, so take us away from the beginning of this deal. So for context for listeners, you at one point were in a relationship with someone who struggled with substance abuse, and you were no longer there.
Correct. Yes.
Take us from the top. This is this is a story I think a lot of people are going to want to hear.
I was married to an alcoholic for 21 years.
21?
21 years.
Wow.
Right.
What age did y'all get married?
I was 15.
Is that legal in Missouri?
No. Well, I mean, it did require a parent's signature.
Okay.
Yeah. I was 15. He was 18 at the time.
So y'all were just kids.
Yes, absolutely. Just kids.
Okay. And you also had children young.
Yes. So hence getting married at 15.
Oh,
no
it's
one just
a shotgun
decides,
deal.
right? Yeah. I was 16 whenever I gave birth to my first child. So yeah, we were just babies, right? I mean, think about that. At 16, having a baby and a husband.
I can't fathom. And
we were 14 when we got together, and
so
I
2
was
years
not
later?
thinking about that. Yeah.
Can you imagine me around a kid at that age?
Oh gosh.
So what's that like?
Yeah. Well, I also was 14 whenever I met him. I grew up in a very, very small town in Missouri where everyone knows everyone. We were introduced by his cousin. She was a friend of mine, is a friend of mine. We joke all the time. She's like, I'm surprised you're still friends with me. But yeah, and it was just this instant attraction, this crazy chemistry. You know, I mean, you're young, chemistry, hormones. It's like, you know, it was almost instant. And he's just a very charismatic person and fun to be around. Everyone loves him. And I was hooked.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Doesn't it?
Yes.
Doesn't it? Okay, when you guys met, I mean, at 15, I know that like I was experimenting with beer, smoking weed and things like that. Like, did you guys party together?
We did. So it's kind of funny if I tell you a little bit about my background. I grew up in a religious home where alcohol was forbidden. Like no one in my household drank alcohol. My mom's entire family, alcohol is of the devil. Like you do not touch it. So until I was a teenager, I really had pretty much no experience around alcohol. Now I had a few uncles that would drink beer or I'd be at the lake and I would get exposure to people drinking alcohol. But really, until I hit teenage years and, you know, people are sneaking alcohol into the movie theater, I just had no exposure to it. So jumping into a relationship with someone who enjoyed alcohol often was completely new to me. But you're right. I mean, you're young, you're in a small town, there's nothing to do. Of course you're drinking alcohol on the weekends. What else do you have to do? And so yeah, that was a big part of our relationship.
Okay. Did you notice any red flags? I mean, at the time, I mean, obviously hindsight's 2020. We can always look back and be like, oh, that was a red flag. Like Paige and I have talked about, she's like, you were a walking red flag. I'm like, no, I was for sure. But you don't know what you don't know back then.
No.
Were there any signs back then that you noticed then?
No, not really. But I think that I was just so blinded by the young love that, you know, oh my gosh, this guy's going to take me away or whatever, be my Prince Charming, that you just don't really think about it in those ways.
Mm-hmm.
So have the first baby. I mean, obviously it's probably not planned, right? Like
right.
Birth of your first, probably not planned at that age. So it's like, okay, we're going to do this. Mm-hmm. And at this point, I'm only assuming that like maternal instincts kick into gear and you're like, time to grow up.
Yeah. So a couple things that we had to deal with immediately. He had gotten his first DUI before we got married.
Oh, no kidding.
So I guess if we wanted to back up and say red flags, that happened. But at that point, you know, I'm moving forward with my life with him or how I perceived my life being with him and was like, all right, it was just a mishap, whatever that happens, we're going to move on. But there definitely was that impacting us because he had to have a hardship license. Right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember those.
Yeah.
They still do that?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Yeah,
honestly.
The cost of insurance, all of that. Here we are. We're so young, living in an apartment with a new baby and dealing with all of that. But up until that point, I had, okay, you know, I'm going to try to figure out how to run a household. Here, I'm going to take care of the baby and still go to school. And you're going to handle the finances, right? Which at that time, what is it? It's rent, it's electricity, and a phone bill, like a phone that hangs on the wall.
Like the phone,
right.
House phone.
And so I can remember a moment, we probably hadn't been married maybe 6 months. And he, in my mind, was handling our bills and had told me so much. And I found a stack of unpaid bills hidden in a coat pocket in the closet. And I was just like, what? First of all, do you think you can just like not pay your bills? Right?
What do you think happens?
And so it was a really, you talk about the aha moment where, oh man, I really have to buck up now and be responsible. And that was a moment, and I can still remember this to this day, standing there in the bedroom, in the closet, holding that stack of bills and thinking, wow, I know I have to take charge now. And I think that this moment and telling that is really important about my story, because from that moment on till the day I walked out the door, I managed our finances.
Did you really?
I did.
So you were already raising a baby. You were going to school, and now you're managing finances as well. So you become manager of all things. Where do you think that came from? Like that, obviously we're all born with like whatever qualities we have. Some of them develop naturally. Some of them are God-given. Is that from your family, mother, father, or is it just in you?
Yeah, I mean, I can just always remember that as a kid, my parents talking about the importance of paying the bills every month and making sure you had enough money to pay your bills, and then them speaking poorly about people who didn't pay their bills, right?
Yes.
And so that's just ingrained in me anyway. Like, yeah, like that's what a responsible person does. You pay your bills. And I'm also a very determined individual too. And so it was just like, okay, I'm not going to let us fail here. I'm not going to have my phone shut off. So if he's not going to do it, then I am.
So I'm getting this image of you as a young girl. You came from, is it fair to say strict religious values?
Mm-hmm.
What was his family, his past like? Is it total opposite or something similar?
No, it's not totally opposite. It is somewhat similar. His mom's family, very religious, conservative family he came from. His parents were divorced whenever he was young, so that was different. And so there were some dynamics there that I think that he had to deal with. He saw a lot of turmoil between his parents when he was young, and then after they split up, just a lot of things that he had to deal with there. So
okay.
he had that baggage that he brought with him. And my background was different.
But it wasn't like he was raised on the streets, like he was running wild or anything like that?
No, not at all.
Okay, so we find the stack of bills. Things obviously change in the relationship, but what was a fight like with him in those early days? Because I'm guessing at this point, would you, even knowing what you know now, would you have considered what was going on in the home at that time, like alcoholism or addiction?
No, not really, because it wasn't. It's funny because my life up until that point, whenever someone in my family would refer to an alcoholic, it was someone who has to drink every day, right?
Brown paper bag under
right.
the bridge, yeah.
And the type of alcoholic that he was is 3 beers isn't enough, or if 3 beers makes me feel this good, 12 is going to make me feel exponentially better.
Of course.
And so that would be one night a week, maybe, because he worked, he's very responsible, hardworking, great work ethic. But then whenever he did drink, that's what it would be. And so I didn't really see that as alcoholism at the time. I just saw it as, here we go again, or he's, going to pass out. And what's the situation going to be? Is he going to be mad or whatever? A lot of the fighting then would be about him going out with his friends and drinking and doing whatever, coming back while I'm at home with a baby and, just taking care of her and doing my homework probably, or studying for a chemistry exam or something, who knows.
Were you working at all during this point too?
At that point, I did not work until I got out of high school. So let's remember, I was still in high school.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
You were still like a sophomore, junior.
Yeah, I was a sophomore in high school. I had her the end of my sophomore year. I went to high school for another year and a half because I took extra classes to graduate a semester early. And so, yeah, I had my hands full, like full days at school, and even in the summer, I took summer classes too.
Oh my gosh. Man, that's incredible though.
Yeah. Yeah.
You did what you had to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's fast forward to graduating high school.
Mm-hmm.
What's the relationship like? What are you like? Do you guys have hopes and dreams together? Like, are you a close couple?
Yeah, if I were to think back to before we got married, I can remember whenever he asked me to marry him, and we had a very intense conversation where I said, okay, if you commit to me that you are going to support me in education, because that's really, really important to me. I am going to finish school. I am going to go to college. I am getting my degree. Like, let's make that clear right now. And he said yes. And I can tell you, he absolutely never once would back down from that. Like, he didn't say, oh, well, if you quit school and work more or contribute more or anything like that. So I knew whenever I graduated high school, I was going straight to college. I actually graduated a semester early, finished high school in December, and started college classes in January. So it was just a super quick transition. Didn't know what I wanted to be or anything like that. It was just, yeah, I'm going to get a degree, have a great job. We're going to have a good life, all of that.
Okay. So where does it progress from here? Because at this point, it sounds almost like, hey, so you got a guy who's, we'll call him a heavy drinker at this point, right? He's a little immature, hanging out with friends, but I don't think that's too uncommon with guys that age, right? Because you don't meet too many of them. Where did things go wrong?
Well, when he got his second DWI.
Oh, there's another one.
Yeah. So this is whenever our daughter was 4 years old, and I'm at home with her. I was in college at the time. He was out with his buddies drinking. You get that phone call at 1 a.m. Oh, hey, Jenny, this is so-and-so. Here's the deal. And it was like, what? And having to get up and take my child to my cousin, who also happened to live in the apartment complex we were in at the time.
Convenient.
Yes.
Yeah. And say, hey, I have to go get him out of jail, and going. And again, we didn't have very much money, right? to level set there. I know what it's like to be like, oh, we got $10 till payday, right? And having to bail him out of jail. And then again, having to deal with those consequences legally and financially, right? So doing that, he had the punishments of, community service, AA meetings were required, things like that. I do think that second DUI impacted him some, right? Because when I talk about being married, I mean, we were married for 21 years before our divorce was officially final. There were 7 years that he was sober, completely sober. And it was after that second DUI that I think it scared him. In Missouri, it's 3 strikes, you're out.
You go to jail.
Yeah,
Right.
So it was a bit of an eye opener, and he stayed sober for those 7 years.
Was there any point between the first and the second one where the drinking was getting, we'll call it, out of hand?
Not more than those 1 or 2 days a week, right? It was still like during the work week, it was all work, whatever. Occasionally he might say, oh, I'm going to go to happy hour with my buddies. And I knew that was going to be a shit show by the time he got home. But for the most part, it still was pretty much weekend drinking.
Did y'all ever fight about it?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. So even back then, before the second one, you would fight about it.
Yeah, because, again, we were both very young and immature, and I was pissed, right? I'm at home with a kid.
Yep.
I'm trying to be responsible. I'm working on school. I'm doing all of this, and you're out in bars and doing who knows what, and rolling in, passing out. I have to deal with all of that and spending our money. Right?
Yeah.
That was another thing too. Like, oh my God, how much did you spend at the bar last night?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was always an issue.
Oh man. Okay. So after the second one, he gets sober after the second one. It's court mandated AA. Did he find help in the rooms of AA?
Yeah. I mean, I say that with hesitation because you never know if it's real or not. I mean, the fact that he stopped drinking, in my mind, it was real. But if he actually really, truly embraced the steps and everything, yeah, I question that.
Okay, so how did he stay sober for 7 years? It was just on sheer will? Just, I'm just not going to drink?
It was.
Okay. That brings up something interesting. So something Paige and I talk about a lot is that just removing the substance, in my opinion, does very little to changing the person, changing a lot of those immature behaviors, changing a lot of the abusive behaviors. And the way that we define abuse is through Lundy Bancroft's definition, which is someone that chronically mistreats or devalues their partner. Would you say that there was abuse in the relationship?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And there are some very specific physical abuse situations that got my plan together to get out. And yeah. So there was physical and mental abuse.
So after the second DWI, how long until he's like, okay, I'm scared straight, I'm going to go get sober? Was it right after? Was it a month after?
It was pretty much right after, if I remember correctly, because then our life did change. We bought a home. We had moved to a new community. That was a huge step for us. I ended up graduating from college, getting a job, my first real job with a company car. Man, I thought I had the jackpot.
Hell yes.
And yeah, so I think that it was pretty much immediate, and it stuck. We got into our routine, right? He worked during the day. I worked during the day. We had our life, and we were pretty status quo.
Was sobriety a topic at this point? Like once he quit drinking, were you just like, okay, that problem's fixed, let's move on? Or what, did he ever talk to you about struggling, anything like that?
No, we didn't talk about it. It was pretty much, oh, great.
We're fixed, done with it.
Yeah. Good job.
Yeah.
So at that point, you're exposed to someone that I think a lot of people know the term dry drunk. Were you exposed to a dry drunk at that point?
Yeah. I mean, I think so, for sure. And he did always have extreme mood swings as well. He battled some depression, I think, and he historically would use alcohol, I think, to
self-medicate. Yeah, that always cracks me up. I say cracks me up, it's sad, but people that self-medicate with alcohol in various ways, whether it's their pain or like depression episodes, like alcohol hasn't been used in medicine since like 1916.
Yeah.
And like I know guys that say they use it medicinally.
Right. Like, it's like we don't do that anymore.
Like Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp over here just got shot at the OK Corral and you're going to drink some whiskey to make it better. That's not how it works, man. It's just, it's wild. It's just wild how people will use that. I mean, I understand why. I did it for years. But okay. So how old are you guys now at this point? Okay. It's out of school. He's sobered up.
Oh gosh. I'm 21, 22.
Okay. And he's a few years older than you. So he's 23, 24, maybe 25-ish, somewhere in there. Okay. So things are kind of chugging along. You're in your new home. You feel like life's going pretty well at this point. Like it's at least moving in the right direction. Where did things turn?
At that point, the job, the trade that he had opportunity to go on the road and storm chase. So we had talked about it. It was a great opportunity. I had actually pushed him to do that, to be more, entrepreneurial maybe, or just like
driven.
Go for it.
Let's go.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we made that decision as a couple. And he started that travel. Suddenly, he's with a group of guys that alcohol is their poison every night when they finish their work.
Storm
what else do they have?
Throw down, huh?
Yeah.
That was one of my dream jobs, by the way.
Yeah, you've always looked, but you're scared of tornadoes.
Weird.
And that was really whenever alcohol creeped back in.
So it starts creeping back in. Do your spidey senses start tingling when it does?
Yeah, because it was important to me to always talk about that when he was like, okay, you're not going to drink, right? Things like that. No, it's good. I got this. And then I could just tell, right? When the times when he would get home in the hotel room or whenever I would hear from him, stuff like that. I was like, I knew. You can tell. I mean, when you're the spouse of an addict, you can usually tell. Right.
Yeah, we had a post in our community yesterday, and it was about like, what are your spouse's tells? And there were some of the craziest things. They're like,
There was like 130 comments on that.
People were like, and the stuff that people will notice that we, like, speaking as an alcoholic and addict, like we think we are so effing slick. Like we'll come home and like no one knows, but we're talking about people that are like, don't say 2 words all day. Then suddenly they're a chatterbox or like there was one lady who was like, I can tell by his left eye. The thing like just hangs off the side of his head, you know?
Yeah.
One dude like gets a Scottish accent out of nowhere, like just random stuff and just the crap we do and we say. Like if there's any addicts listening to this, like, dude, they can tell.
Yeah, we know.
Can tell. You're not as sneaky as you think. Okay, so you mentioned physical abuse. You mentioned some emotional abuse and things like that. Did you chalk this up to this is just part of marriage, or this is part of a relationship? Like when you're in that moment, how are you making sense of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like you just accept it. Okay, you know, things are going to be better tomorrow. I'm still determined to make this work. I still have this life with this human. It'll be okay. And you just keep going, right? With him, his trait was he was always extremely remorseful, which was annoying as hell, right? Like, don't call me those names and say that stuff to me. And then the next day, oh my God, I love you so much. You know, you're the best thing in the world. Shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, you know, and that really was hit and miss during that stretch, those 7 years. He was still moody, right? And we would still have some knockdown, drag out fights, but nothing like when he was drinking. And so that we ended up having another child. And it was really after we had our second child, and he had been on the road at that point for a year plus with this new career path that he was on. And that's whenever it really started showing up.
Okay, so I think that you're highlighting something that's incredible and important for people, anyone listening to understand, is that it's progressive. It's a progressive disease and it gets worse over time, never better. In my experience, I've never once seen someone get to that line of, oh, we have a problem. And then they'll say, oh, I'll just switch to beer or I'll just drink on the weekends. And then it actually works. Right. I've never once seen it work, but we all try that and we all say that at some point. So I think it's important to recognize that. So it starts getting worse. He starts drinking again. The progressive nature of the disease takes over. And did you have any support, like of any kind back then around you? Anyone who also dealt with this?
You know, I didn't. And you're ashamed. There are things that you don't want for people to see. You don't want for your family to know. You don't want for your friends to know about your relationship, about what you're dealing with, because again, you're embarrassed, right? I mean, wow, I don't think anyone else's husband says that to them, or what's wrong with me that he would say that to me? Yeah. You know, so you're dealing with that. And I had never been around anyone that had dealt with really any type of addiction. And if they had, they certainly weren't going to talk about it. That is another dynamic in my family. Sorry, but like we just don't talk about shit. If you don't talk about it, it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I no support. I didn't know. Now, I will say this. We had been to marriage counseling several times.
So you guys are working on this.
So I did have, at my employment, we did have an employee assistance program that would give you 6 free sessions or whatever. And we did have that. We would work through that. However, part of that was also dealing with an affair that he had as well during this time. So we had that to deal with. And that actually happened while he was sober. So
no kidding.
That was, before we had our second child. We had that to work through and recommit to our relationship with the help of a therapist and all of that. And, you know, that took a lot for me to be able to, forgive and trust again and move forward.
Can we, if you're comfortable with it, can we spend a little bit of time with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of people have dealt with this, and like Paige and I have never had experience with infidelity, but since you have, I'd love to ask some questions about, okay, so you find out about this and the betrayal that you feel is, I can't imagine. I just can't imagine how you feel in that moment.
You let me tell you how I found out about it. I think this is almost worse than the actual act. At the time, I was working in an insurance office, had my job, doing well, had my friends at work, all of that, had an admin for my team. So anytime we received mail at the office, the admin always opened it, stamped it, put it on your desk or whatever. Someone mailed a letter to me at work telling me about who he is having this affair with and when he sees her and all of that. So my admin, like always, opens this letter.
Oh no.
And has it. And she was super sweet. Like she like folded it back up and came in and was like, I'm so sorry. And, gave me a hug, everything. I was like, what? What is this? What's going on here? And I read that and things lined up and they made sense, but I don't know. I think every woman thinks that would never happen to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a marriage, we're committed, that's never going to happen. And when it does, it really just takes the floor out from underneath you. And I can remember sitting in that office just thinking, what am I going to do? I don't even know what to do. I'm not going home. But I have a kid to pick up from school and maybe I can get him to pick her up and make excuses while I just sit here. And I just sat in that office until probably 8:30 at night.
Oh, wow.
Just, sick, physically sick. What are you going to do? And being who I am, I was like, I'm not going to come home and confront you because I'm going to catch you in the act. I'm going to prove it to you, to myself, because you're not going to lie. That's another thing. I know if I go home and I show you this, you're just going to lie.
Yeah, he's been displaying dishonesty for most of your relationship.
Yeah. So it had to go on for a while I go and I do a whole stakeout and everything.
So you lived with this information for a while.
Yeah.
And you decided to
Can you imagine you're sleeping next to someone and knowing that?
Oh my gosh.
No.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine that.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, we work through that. We deal with that, which was just a serious gut punch because I knew this woman. She was always around, but I was young and I was like, look at me, what do I have to worry about with her? She's 20 years older than me and please,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And
the decision to work through it, was it ever even a decision or were you just like, we'll figure this out?
No, yeah, it was a, of course, I wouldn't let him come back to the house. I had all of that to deal with, which is so tough when you have a child, too, because you can't say, oh, your dad's seen someone else. Here's what's happened. You have to deal with that. Or that's how I felt at the time. I probably could have handled that better.
And how old was your daughter at this point?
Oh, gosh. She was probably second grade, maybe.
Okay, so kind of old enough to understand dad's not around. This is weird.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it was just, we had to deal with that. And then I agreed, okay, let's go to some counseling. Let's figure some things out. And I would always take some responsibility, even if it was even if I should have or not. And so at that time I was like, when this started, I was finishing up my senior year in college. I was in a business fraternity. I was trying to have as much of a college experience as possible. I probably wasn't giving him enough attention. You play that mind game with yourself where you justify the behavior.
Was it the same with the abuse? Could you find yourself in those moments as well?
Yeah, at times. Yeah, because I would, if you know me, I can't hold my tongue. As a child, I think my mom, you're so mouthy. Yeah. And even now, to this day, I still get comments from some people. You just don't know when to stop. And it's true. I just, that it's my personality. And so I would have times where I'd be like, oh, yeah, I did goad him a little. Just kind of push.
Yeah, because you're witty. You got a silver tongue. You can land punches when needed, I'm sure.
I love it. Never change.
Proverbial punches, not actual punches.
Yeah.
But okay, so what that does tell me though, and I think Paige, you probably agree here, is that you're a very aware person. You can see the big picture, and obviously he was wrong, but you can also look further than that and say I play a part in some ways. And I think that a lot of us get stuck in that trap where it's like, and some people to too much. Like, did you ever go to an Al-Anon meeting? Did you ever go
I
to
did
Al-Anon?
not. And that is one of the things as I was mentally preparing for tonight was, thinking about some regrets or some things that I did not do. And I did not ever go to.
So it never had the support of a community of any kind or anything like that. It was just you. My gosh. So you were just swimming alone in the middle of the ocean with all of this.
Yeah. I mean, I still had great family, right? That was always around me, but it wasn't ever, there's no deep conversation. It was just like, oh, let's get Jenny, or let's go do something, or let's just be around her, but never really to talk through anything. And I had been conditioned to really repress your feelings. I mean, that was just how we were raised. And I think that's part of my generation too. Like, what? Get up. Let's go.
Suck it up. Let's go. Yeah.
Don't be crying. Dry those tears up right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you something to cry about.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I just really repressed all of that and just kept going forward. I kept thinking, in my mind, just get to the next step. Just get to your next promotion. Just get to that point where you can financially do it. It was all, I played that mind game with myself for a long time. And that started way back when. It would be like, just get through school, just get that degree, just get that job, and then you reach those milestones and you just trick yourself. Let's keep going. What's the next one?
Yeah.
And so that's what I dealt with. And I can remember being at therapy back then and the therapist saying to me, no matter what, no matter how thin the pancake, it always has two sides. So that always stuck with me. I'm still saying it today. And so I was like, yeah, she's probably right. And I need to own some of this too. And, but we did, we decided to work through it for whatever, reasons. Again, me having my own ownership and my own guilt or blame in my head. And then, I mean, I love this guy, right? I mean, that's another thing. We talk about these relationships and abuse and alcoholism and stuff, but let's go back to the beginning. There's a reason you got married, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason you're together.
Yep.
Because you love this human.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we were.
So it wasn't the affair, it wasn't the DWIs or anything else. So you get through counseling. Did things get better? Like, do you notice things getting better in the relationship? Are you guys getting closer? Are you doing any of the shit they told you to do in therapy is what I'm asking.
Yeah, absolutely. I can remember being assigned books and reading. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
That was real big back then.
Yeah. Learning each other's needs, your own love language, things like that to get closer. And, we progressed. We had a second child. We were much older than I say that much older. I was 25, which is funny because at the time I was like, man, I'm so old and mature having this child.
More for your age, no doubt.
But I had the second child, that was a completely different experience. He was more involved, more in touch with that. And so it, we progressed. We kept moving forward. Meanwhile, he was very successful in his career. I started a business that then had some great success with. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, man, we're the American dream, right? Look at us. We started with nothing, literally nothing, probably negative. And we made it. Like, we made it together. And so you hold on to that, like, yeah, it's us against the world. We can do it. And that's how, we continued on. Meanwhile, I am still the financial manager of the household, which I had resentment for, right? Like, damn, I wish I could just work. And that's all I ever had to worry about. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
But again, that was really critical in me getting out the door. So you fast forward and we talk about those pivotal moments whenever you knew it was like something has to change.
Mm-hmm.
And gosh, I'm trying to think how many years later it was, because we were just on this hamster wheel, right? Meanwhile, you just keep going. It is what it is. He'll be a shithead. He'll apologize. You'll fight, whatever. And you just keep going. I had a very successful e-commerce business, and it really changed our world a little bit. And I always had to go to market in Vegas. And typically I would go by myself because that's just how I roll. I'd be there by myself. It's very intense. It's a lot of work. I was a huge account for some clients, so they were always like in my face, wanting me there, kind of a big deal to be there. And he wanted to go with me. So this show is always in July or August. I take him with me. I'm ready to go to bed because I have to be up at the show the next morning. And he's like, I'm just going to go down to the piano bar. I was like, why? I won't be out that late. No big deal. Okay, like, go. I'm not going to go with you. I have my responsibilities. There's a reason I'm here. It's not to party. And I went to bed. I don't know what time he rolled in, probably 2:00 in the morning or something. And what he would do is when he would be that drunk, the control of his bladder was not great.
Okay.
So
incontinence.
Yeah.
Incontinence.
I mean, but then sometimes it would be him getting up in the middle of the night, being incoherent, not knowing where he is, thinking he's standing in front of the toilet, but he's actually pissing in the corner or he's in a closet or whatever.
Yes. Who knows what.
Well, that's exactly what happened.
You're kidding me.
I woke up and he was standing over by the suitcases. And I was like, immediately start yelling, right? Raising my voice like, oh my God. And then I'm sure I had a few choice words like,
sure,
you stupid motherfucker, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I would have said in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Mom. But the reaction that I got at that time is he attacked me. He came over to the bed, straddled me, and took his hands and tried to choke me in a way that I had never been scared for my life. I had never physically been in anything like that before. We'd had, physical scuffles before. Maybe that's pulling your hair, pushing you down, whatever. But he was trying with his force to choke me.
He was trying to hurt you.
Yes, he was trying to hurt me. I finally kick him off of me, whatever, scream, yell, cuss at him, go back to sleep. However, I was able to go back to sleep, get up the next day, and I had bruises. You could see fingers on my neck.
Oh my God.
Like that. It wasn't just like red marks. I was bruised. This is early 2000s. I had this super cute shag haircut. So there's no covering this up, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's July. It's not like I could put a scarf on or do anything, right?
High collar or anything. Yeah.
Here I am. I got to go to this show. I got to meet my reps. They're waiting for me. I got all this stuff lined up. And I was just so humiliated. Like, oh my God. And I needed to pause in that moment and remember how I felt. So I took pictures of myself and I uploaded them to Shutterfly. I think I still have that Shutterfly account. They're probably still on there, where I'm documenting this for whatever reason, right? If I need it for proof, if I need it to remind myself, but this is it. I'm not going to live like this anymore. I do my thing. I go to work. I come back afterwards, and in his classic MO, he's been to the Burberry store. Here's a new handbag. Here's a new pair of shoes. Here's a new wallet, which I'm like, I take all that shit back. Like, I want none of that. If you think that makes your behavior okay, you got to be kidding me. And I just wanted to get out of there. Like, I couldn't get out of Vegas fast enough. And this is when, in my mind, I started planning. Mind you, this is several years before I walked out the door.
It's a process, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, that's what, if you're not in immediate danger, which I was in danger that night.
I would say so.
Yeah. But you have a plan, right? I think so many people leave in a moment or whatever, they get enraged and they haven't planned for shit.
Yeah.
And of course you're going back. You didn't have, what was your plan? What were you going to do? How are you going to take care of yourself? You don't even have that figured out. So that's when I really started my plan.
That's really interesting that you say that, because it is true. It's like the concept of social learning theory. Like, if your environment doesn't change, you're likely to stay in the same environment into perpetuity. You'll stay sick in those environments. Like, that's why rehabs exist. That's why we get people out of abusive places, because if you don't have a plan, if you don't have some other place to be, you're going to go back.
Mm-hmm.
So you started planning. I think this is huge. This is huge. Like, this is the moment you're like, okay, I'm going to start planning. So what was the first thing you took into consideration?
Money. You know, again, I was the financial manager of the house. And so I needed to make sure that I did certain things, that I kept things paid off. I didn't want to have any debt, you know, just again, thinking about, okay, if you walk out the door, if in the future you're by yourself, you're on your own, what should that look like? Where will you go? What are you going to do? And I also think at that time, I started emotionally preparing myself, which is, I guess that's important. And it's really, like, my way was really fucked up, because I just start shutting down. Like, I become very hardened. Like, okay, you know, I'm just going to push that down, not going to deal with it. Keep going. So, you know, you have to keep going.
Do you have like almost like a switch that you can flip? So you were just like,
yeah,
pre-Vegas, we're warm and happy. After Vegas, things change with you.
Yeah, it's like before that, I would let him make me cry, right? I would show emotion. I would get upset, whatever. And then I just had to just turn it off and be like, no.
It's like, you don't get access to that part of me anymore.
Yep.
You detached.
Yeah. It comes down to, like, what's in your control? What's in control is how I feel, or how I'm going to allow to make you to make me feel, or at least in my mind. That's how I dealt with it. And so I'm just going to stop. Like, no more. We're not doing this anymore. So yeah, that was a pivotal moment for me. Again, that was several years before I actually went out the door.
And obviously, you didn't communicate this with him. You didn't come home and say, I'm planning to leave you, or anything like that.
No,
you just started to emotionally, internally start to turn the wheels about, what would I have to do to make it on my own, because I ain't doing this shit anymore.
Right. And in my mind, it was like, I wasn't going to give him the privilege of knowing how I felt. I wasn't going to give him access to my thoughts.
Did he recognize that whenever you started to detach?
Yeah, I think he did, because I think it was obvious. You know?
Yeah.
And again, his charisma, and he always tried to shower you with gifts or whatever. And do all of that. So, you know, also during this time, I mentioned he was very successful with his career path, and it included international travel. So we had a great life from the outside looking in. You know, would be in France, or we would be in Germany, and had a great home and kids. And then by the time I was 28, we had a vacation home at Sundance. I mean, life was good, right? Until it's not.
Yeah.
Right. And so again, the perception of, wow, man, you guys are the great American story. Look at the success. Look at your life. And you trick yourself too. Like, man, this is great. I have a great life.
That's the gratitude trap that so many people can fall into. It's like, with there's some things that are more important than others. I think that we all believe, and you don't know it until you've got it, but that money isn't that, stuff's not that important, right? It's important. Don't get me wrong. It's important. Like, you have to pay bills. You have to have a roof over your head. You have to have air conditioning and all these things, food and whatnot, the necessities. But it's, you don't know it until you get to that number and you're like, holy shit, I'm just not happy. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, what am I doing here?
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And so for anyone who thinks that that's going to do it, it doesn't work.
No,
it does not work. So outward appearances, everything looks beautiful. Everything's wonderful. You're starting to detach. And that first year or so, he's recognizing it, but he's not really understanding what's going on, is he?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think it probably made his drinking worse at that point, you know? And so,
it's easy to blame you too.
Right. Yeah.
Because you act like a bitch, because you do this, because you do that. And it makes it so easy. Like, you become his reason for drinking now.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, it was at that point that I really started to process what divorce looks like. I'm in a small town. I have a great business, but it also ebbs and flows. You know, who knows? Is that going to be enough? Some other things happened. I ended up selling that business, but part of the path in doing that was getting me out of that town. So my daughter she wasn't super happy with the high school she was at. She wanted to get to Springfield, a bigger small town. Yeah. And so in my mind, I'm like, yeah, you know, I got to get to Springfield, because in Missouri, if you get a divorce, or at least I thought, who knows, I might be making shit up here. If you get a divorce, you know, if you want to leave the town or the county, you have to have reason, or they're going to make you stay there with your kids because of the parent. Stuff. Yeah, all that. I'm like, oh my God, you know, if I get a divorce and I can't leave this town, I can't imagine being a single person here. Just all this, like my mind was in overdrive.
So you preempted it. So you were already making decisions with this in mind, that this is probably going to inevitably happen, but you knew it that night in Vegas. Wow.
So I started my plan. We moved to Springfield, but the whole time I still had hope, right? Mm-hmm. And we kind of talked about this earlier, that hope, that toxic freaking hope that just keeps you going. And you just wish for, I don't know, you thought life was going to be on your wedding day, what you envisioned as a little girl, what happily ever after was.
What Hollywood shows us, all of it.
And I also think as a woman, I was just like, you know, he's going to wake up one day and he's going to love me enough that he's going to change.
Mm. Oh, man.
And, you know, and that's how you feel. Like they don't love me enough. Like I'm not enough to make the difference here.
Yeah.
And so, but you hope that, that. And I'll be honest, I'm very ruled by logic. Like that's me. Things are black and white. I don't get it. And I know this is, you know, people are probably going to attack me for this. I don't get addiction. I'll tell you right now. I don't. For me, just quit. Yeah. And I know that's a horrible thing to say.
No, it is. No, it isn't. No, it's not.
I think that's a commonly held belief. And I understand why people feel that way, because it applies to everything else in life.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So I'm like, and I would tell him that too, if he was at that point going to AA meetings, because again, he would flip flop, right? There would be times, oh, I'm getting help. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Like, all right. And I would say, I'm telling you right now, I'm not a good support person for you. You need someone that understands, because I don't get it.
You're going to say, put that effing bottle down.
Yeah.
And be done with it.
Right. And so, you know, time marches on. We're in Springfield, living there. My daughter's in college now. And meanwhile, again, the plan is still moving forward. I get a job that has insurance, you know, all these things that you fear, that you hear as a child when you're, oh, you got to have insurance. You got to have this. You have to have that. So I'm replaying all of that in my mind. All right, I have a job that is commission based. So I feel like I'm in charge. I can make as much as I can make. I have insurance. I have my own bank account. That's critical. And I say that because you have to protect yourself and you have to have your own plan. And I think what happens is so many people will walk out the door, mostly women, thinking, oh, well, we have a joint account. We have $20,000 in there. I've got some money. Well, the next thing you know, that account's empty. Or, you know, the control of the addict to get you back starts immediately. Well, being who I am, I'm not going to let anybody have any more control over me or how I feel or the rest of my life. I'm taking control right now. So I had my own bank account. I started thinking about other things. What joint credit cards do we have? I'm closing them. And, oh yeah, hey, here's your new credit card. It's because it's in your name only. I'm not going to put my name on anything. This took place over a year.
Really?
Where I'm like, I'm ready. Like, the plan continues. I'm going to make sure that he can't hurt me in any way.
Was he still giving you reasons along the way to assure you why you were doing this?
Yes.
So along the way, he's still drinking. He's
still drinking.
Being an asshole.
He's still drinking.
He's still doing all this stuff.
So the last pivotal moment, well, almost last pivotal moment, was the drinking continued. It gets a lot worse. And I don't even know. He was drinking at home, so that had started, right? Where he would just be at home. We would have dinner or whatever, and he would just drink a 12-pack or would just drink at home. And our son, who was probably in second grade at the time, I think, is in the shower, taking a shower, no big deal. And all of a sudden, his dad gets in this just crazy, stupid rage at me. I mean, it was really like over nothing. Like, I don't even know what happened, because whenever he would get like that, especially if the kids were around, I would tiptoe around. Like, I'm not going to instigate anything. I'm going to make sure that I just keep your head down. He'll be back on the road in 2 days. And I wouldn't respond. He was wanting a response from me, and I wouldn't respond, and I wouldn't respond. And the whole time I'm just thinking, oh my God, my son's in the shower. I don't want for anything to get crazy, because that is one thing. Our kids didn't see a lot of that. They, don't get me wrong, they saw some of it, they heard some of it, but they didn't see a lot of it. And so he ends up, I forgot, I don't even know what it was he threw at me, maybe a remote or something. We're in the bedroom, he throws it at me. It happens to hit a picture that was over the fireplace that happened to be of my son, falls down, is shattered all over the floor. And all I can think of is, oh my God, I don't want my child to get out of the shower and come in here and see a picture of him shattered on the floor. Because again, I'm thinking, what's he going to think? Oh my God, somebody is so mad at me that they threw, who knows, right? Yeah. But I just go into that instant maternal instinct, like I have to protect my child. Well, it just got worse from there. So I'm just trying to get my son out of the shower. Oh, come on, honey, let's go get your pajamas on. Let's go to bed or whatever. Well, he's enraged at this point, like psycho monster enraged, a way that I've never seen him before. And I don't know. So were there other substances involved? Who knows, right? Like, what causes someone to just snap and be crazy? Well, he follows us up to the bedroom the whole way, just calling me anything and everything you can imagine. And so I'm just trying to...
Son's right there.
Yeah. And we go and you come back here, turn around, talk to me when I'm talking to you, you stupid bitch. All of that is going on. Well, I'm like, oh my God, he's going to get physical at this point. And that is the last thing that I want for my son to ever witness. We go upstairs and I lock us in his closet to stay away from his father, who is then, I'll never forget, I'm laying on the ground with my feet holding the door shut so he can't get in there to us. And my son is like, oh my, he's scared and he's upset and what's so going
confused.
on.
Yeah.
And I did that, I don't know how long, 30 minutes maybe, where he's beating on the door, trying to push it in, continues on and on. Oh, you're such a slut. You're such a whore. What, just anything that he possibly could have called me, he did. Until then finally, I don't know, maybe he went downstairs and passed out, and I was finally able to get my son out and put him to bed and lay in bed with him till he fell asleep. But I knew, like, wow, you can't, who cares? I could handle anything, right? I could put myself through anything, whatever, but I'm not going to do that to my child. Enough is enough. And it's time.
Wow. I think you bring up another really interesting point. A lot of people a lot of people are afraid to end their marriage because of what will do to the kids. And you ended your marriage because of what it would have done to the kids. And I think that's a really, really important thing that people ought to hear. So I am a child of an addicted home too. My parents have both suffered at some point in their lives with addiction, various points through my childhood. 3 brothers, 2 ended up with drug and alcohol problems. I don't think it's a coincidence by any means. I know that there's a genetic component to it, but I also believe that nature loads the gun, but your environment pulls the trigger. And my environment certainly wasn't conducive to not unlocking that part of me. I think it's really important that people understand that. That's a really powerful thing for you to do. Is that if you're on the fence about should I stay or should I go because it could ruin my family, these kids will take this
absolutely
for the rest of their lives. They will remember this stuff. This could unlock something in them. Who knows what it does? Like, I'm not a neuroscientist, but seeing those types of behaviors, the trauma that comes with it,
right?
The emotions buried alive never die. The kids will do something with those emotions one day too. I mean, that's what you're exposing them to. So what's better, exposing them to that, like what your kids went through, or exposing them to the alternative, which is, hey, we don't have to deal with this.
Right.
Maybe dad's not here right now, but this is better.
Right.
This is better. No doubt.
And that's exactly how my mind went.
That was the cost benefit analysis.
Like, okay, enough, right? I need for my children to see that this is not normal. This is not healthy. This is not the life that you want. I owe them that.
Wow. Okay. So this is how long? So at this point, like we talked about in Vegas, you decided like this, I have to start doing something. So you started to think about financially, how could I take care of myself? You start to orchestrate a life and your finances in a way that allow for independence. Emotionally, you've started to detach as well. What was the time period from Vegas to the closet?
Oh gosh, that was probably 4 years.
4 years of this.
4 years.
Like I want listeners to understand that 4 years. That's 4 years.
4 years.
Like you don't find out about a podcast like this and in a week you accomplish this. And
right.
I think that's a realistic timeline though.
Yeah.
I do.
Well, I think that again, for me, I had to take things into my control, right? And so I knew I had to get to the point where I could take care of things. I would be okay. It didn't matter. I was going to be okay. And I think people that don't do that, again, are the ones that go back, right? You have to take care of you. You have to have a plan. Yeah, there are programs out there. Yeah, there might be government assistance. Yeah, you might have some family that can help you. Please, you have to plan for the next year, 2 years, 3 years, right? This isn't temporary. You can't just jump and not have a plan. Again, I think the financial hold, especially for women, is huge because typically maybe they're a stay-at-home mom or maybe their job isn't as lucrative as their spouse. And so that spouse has always had the control of the money. And it becomes crippling to them. And that's tough. And, you think about other things where don't have the mindset that you're going to leave, you're going to get a divorce, you're going to get child support. He's going to have to do this. He's going to have to pay that. Horseshit. Yeah, maybe. I can tell you that the years that I was divorced and had children, I maybe got child support 12 months out of 9 years. But the government's going to help me. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What are they going to do?
Yeah. Can't even build a website.
Right.
Right.
So again, it's about don't think that everybody else or the system is going to take care of you. And unfortunately, I feel like there are a lot of people in our society that just think that that shit just magically happens.
Yeah.
And it doesn't.
It's just going to work itself out.
Yeah.
It'll be okay.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be. So a question there, what would you say to someone that is in a relationship that's like some of it verges on financial abuse where you've got someone who keeps the finances and doesn't give them any exposure on purpose, doesn't give a wife any exposure on purpose. What's your message to women? What would you tell someone to do who is living in that type of environment? What would you tell them to do first to start to plan to get out?
The first thing I would do, like if you're in that situation and they're in that type of control, get your own bank account. It might be empty right now, but get your own bank account. And if that means putting $100, $500, whatever it is, do it now. If there's fear that they'll find out, put it in someone else's address, like put your mom's address on there, whatever you feel like you have to do. And I really, really think that that's important because again, money makes the world go round. I'm sorry, last I checked, it pays the bills. It's going to put food in your kid's mouth. It's going to find you a place to live. You have to have that. And they can use that to cripple you almost immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the biggest reasons people don't go.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't afford it. I can't afford it. So addressing that off the bat, and let's say that you don't have an education. What would you be, I'm gonna put you on the spot here? What's your recommendation to someone for, is it gig work? Is it take an entrepreneurial path? Is it get a side gig? Like whatever. Like if you were in that situation, what would you have done to get out?
I would say all the above, right? I really do feel passionately that you have to get the mindset of, I have to do whatever it takes. And if that means getting a trade, doing some training, doing online training, figuring out what you can do virtually, what kind of gigs can you take? And I will say, I was blessed with having an extreme drive and an entrepreneurial spirit. And I know that not everyone has that. And I acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Some people say, oh, well, it's easy for you to say all this stuff because you had an income and you had these other assets and all of that. It wasn't easy.
No,
and it wasn't always that way, was it?
Right. And so again, what would you do if you were a single person, right? If you were a single person and you weren't married and you didn't have kids, how would you be taking care of yourself? And again, I acknowledge it isn't just at the snap, but you have to figure it out. You have to do that for yourself. And I get enraged whenever people want someone else to figure it out for them. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, there's great advice out there. There are great things to do. But, you know, when I talk about the steps that I took to get my financial independence, listen, because it really is important.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like maybe it's like, let me tell you the Dave Ramsey of toxic relationships. You know, this is how this shit works. But again, I will never forget also whenever I walked into my divorce attorney's office for the very first time and I had everything figured out. This is his, this is mine, this is what I want. And he stepped back, he goes, whoa. He said, you've been planning this for a while, haven't you? Yeah, I have. And really, he's pretty much in awe. Like, I can't believe it. We did not have we had one joint bank account at that time. But that was it. Like, we didn't have a joint credit card. We didn't have an auto loan. I made sure everything there was paid off. Even the mortgage in the home that we lived in at that time was in his name only because I'm the one that left. I didn't ask him to leave. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing. I think people think that they can just push someone out.
Right.
You can. That doesn't mean that the lights are going to stay on. And for me, you know, especially after the closet incident, there was so much negativity in that house that I just wanted out of there. I didn't care. And it was a fabulous home. I loved that house whenever we bought it, but I just couldn't stomach it anymore. And so I'm the one. And that was tough, right? Yeah. I'm uprooting my child. My daughter's room is there. That's been there since she's been in college, and I'm moving everything to a different home. But that was important for me.
Where was the hope meter around this point in time? Like, were you done begging and pleading?
I was, but, and this is sad and kind of hard for me to say, but even today I have hope for him. I don't think it ever goes away.
Yeah, completely.
And so, you know, I told, before I walked out the door, I told him, it's us or the alcohol. Like, that's it. Here's a line in the sand. You can choose me and your children, or you can choose alcohol. If you choose alcohol, that's it. There are no more second chances. I'm done. Also, at this time, this is going to make me sound like a psycho, which I was. I had no trust in him at all. None. And that's one of the worst things for me as a person. It's funny. I don't know if you've ever taken the Enneagram test, what number you are. I'm a 5. Like, trust is up here. And when it's gone, I mean, it's completely gone. But I needed to constantly remind myself, and prove to myself that I couldn't trust him. And so I knew that his email password, so I could check his email constantly. I, at the time, Sprint had a family checker or whatever that is a locator, but this was very new, right before you could have locators. Early tech. And you could put it on phones and you could schedule whenever it would check where they were. Like you could have, I'm going to know at noon. And really it was set up for kids so you could know when they got home from school or whatever. Well, I had this on his phone, and you had no notifications on your phone that this was on there. And I had that schedule set for every 5 minutes. So I could see where he was all the time. You're telling me you're at dinner, I can see you're at Harry's bar. Lie.
This was validation for you, though.
Yes. And it's like I needed, this sounds crazy too, but it's like I needed to stab myself with as much truth as I could to get me out the door.
Yeah.
Because you could always find a reason to, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
I've got a part in this, all that shit. Were you the type that would look around for bottles? Did he even try to hide it?
No. So he got to where he was only drinking when he was on the road. And then he would come home and act like everything was fine. But meanwhile, there would be emails that he had sent to his buddies. Hey, things got crazy last night. If you're around my wife, like, let's just not mention that.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm like, there you go. I can see where you were. Lies, lies, lies. And again, it was just, I had to push myself because here we are 20 years where I've made the excuses. I've kept the hope alive. I've continued and continued and continued. And finally, at that time, we had a couples counselor that we had been working with. And I had asked him, hey, will you take me on individually? And he said, I will, but I can't be their couples counselor anymore. I was like, that's fine, because my ex never wanted much to do with counseling anyway. He always said, you guys gang up on me.
Oh, yeah.
That is so common. We hear that all the time.
Yeah, like, and it's like, no, I'm just telling the truth.
It could be you're wrong.
Right.
They're ganging up on you. These bullies.
Yeah. And so that therapist really pushed me to embrace codependency, what it meant. And I would always be, what do you mean? There's nothing wrong with me. I'm not dependent on anyone. But to really get a deeper understanding and know how dependent you are on the fix. Like you can fix them. They're going to do it for you. I am here. And then what kind of God syndrome is that? Like, what's wrong with you, Jenny? Like, you think you're that powerful that you are going to be able to fix him and he's going to change it, right? And so I had to work through that, which was hard for me. That was really hard. But that also helped get me to that point where the anger, the drawing the line in the sand, having things together, having a house ready that I could move into, pushed me. And still then I was scared shitless.
Yeah, I asked Paige this, I think, last week. So I'll ask you the same question. As a mother, as a self-starter entrepreneur, you think that your willpower and your ability to control a scene applies here, and it just doesn't. But you tried everything, I'm guessing. You turned over every stone.
I tried everything. You're right. I just kept thinking, if I can just control this, right? And then it would backfire because, you're trying to control me. And I was. I wanted to control his behavior. I didn't understand it. You have this badass wife and these fabulous kids, and like, you just don't care. That's me in my mind. Oh my God, what's wrong with you? But again, you just try to control the environment. You can try to control where they are. You make sure you let them know you're checking on them constantly, and, this is how I'm going to control him because he knows that I know that where he is, or I'm constantly calling, but it doesn't matter.
Right?
Yeah. Like, addiction doesn't give a single shit about what kind of corporate training you have or how strong your will is, or if you're a master negotiator. I don't care how well you can control the scene in your life, whether it be you manage a household of 20 kids, plus a business, plus God knows what else. doesn't matter. Like no bit of willpower is going to fix this thing. And it's the same from the other side of it too. Like in addiction, one of the, like my biggest fallacies in thinking was, okay, so I'd gotten through school. I did really well in school. We were successful in business. I was moving up in leadership. Okay, well, I'll just apply that same logic towards stopping alcohol. And it's like, but I couldn't. Everything I tried, I couldn't do it. I'm like, this is bullshit. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It just gets hooks in you. But I think it's one of the similarities of like codependent type behaviors and addiction is that the willpower doesn't matter. Like, I don't care how smart or how well you manage everything. Like you could manage multi-billion-dollar company and thousands of employees. You will not be able to fix your alcoholic husband.
Right.
You won't. That those skills don't translate. And it's a lesson that a lot of people have to learn the hard way. Unfortunately, it's tough.
Yeah.
So
I walk out.
Yeah, you get to this point. And what was that day like? Did you tell him?
He was on the road.
Oh, okay. So he came home to empty house.
So I also had that advantage, which sounds terrible, but he was on the road. And so I knew when he was coming back, I knew I wasn't going to have that fight of, oh my God, you're not leaving me, whatever. I could leave. And then he came home to, we were gone. But again, I still loved and cared about him. So I didn't want to totally traumatize him with that. I took little to nothing with me, furniture-wise, all of that. I bought new furniture for the house I moved into. I tried to leave everything intact as much as possible as I could.
Okay, so he didn't come home to a Dear John letter on the counter and milk in the fridge and that's it?
Well, I had told him, that's it. Like, I'm done and I'm leaving you. Well, God, who knows? I probably said that 1,000 times before.
Yeah.
So why would this be different? But yeah, he came home. And still to this day, I bet if we said something to him, he would tell you he remembers that exact moment and what it felt like when he came home and the house, he noticed the closets were empty and we were gone.
I'm curious about the texture of your mind in that moment. When you decided to go and you said you still have hope. If he would have called you and said, I get it. I'll do anything. Would you have turned around or were you done?
No, because he did do that. And so, and what's really crazy is I waited a whole 18 months after I moved out before I actually divorced him. Again, it's like, in my fucked up way of thinking, this is going to be it, right? This is the eye opener. He's going to change now. We're not there. He has lost his family. He's going to change. He's going to change.
Being separated from the kids and all that. We'll get to him.
Yeah. All the promises. I'm going to get off the road. I got a job here locally. I'm going to sell cars now. He's got this quick fix plan of how things are going to work. And
you ever go to treatment? Like rehab?
Oh, yeah. It's not till much later.
Okay. But like in the marriage, he never went to treatment.
No.
Okay.
I thought you said treadmill. And I'm like, wait.
What
in the world? No.
You said treatment. No, I'm not that dense. I do know what treatment is.
The hell? They got places they fix these people?
I was like, what? Yeah. No. So, during that time, I'm going to get help. I'm going to go to meetings. I'm going to do this. And then he wouldn't get the response he wanted and expected. So then he's on my porch drunk the next day and yelling and crying and, trying everything that had worked in the past. And, with sheer will and determination, this is not going to work again. I'm not doing this. No. And again, but I still had hope that he was going to. And at that point, it's we are so awesome that he's going to love us enough that he's going to make a change here, right? Even though I had emotionally disconnected from him, at that point, if he would have truly changed, and I felt like he would have changed, and he was changed in therapy, whatever, I probably would have gotten back with him. Because that's what I wanted for 20 years, and if you finally get what you wanted, why wouldn't you stay? But, when I think back in hindsight, any regrets that maybe I had, it is that I drug that out for 18 months. That was not healthy for anybody,
That's what I was going to ask you about. as far as the kids, I know that your kids are about as dear to you, if not the most dear thing to you in your life. Having them that young, I remember recalling at one point you had said with your daughter, like, we grew up together, you know, like,
Absolutely,
like
we
you
did.
guys are as thick as thieves, your family. What has it been like? What was it like for them at this point? Because they're like out of college, they're in high school for your son at this point. What's the relationship like with him?
Oh,
Back then,
yeah,
not now, but back then.
right. They became pawns at that point, which is heartbreaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they also became tools and tokens for him to use against me. So it was always, I told you, Jenny, this is what it's like. This is what divorce is like. Not showing up for a soccer game, not showing up to pick someone up for the weekend, not paying for college tuition, just not following through with anything and doing it with intention to hurt me. Like, what a horrible thing. Can you imagine hurting your child just to hurt the other parent? And I that it happens every day, right? But for me, like you said, my kids are so dear to me. I just cannot imagine ever hurting them just to get to someone else. That's
I know a thing or two about that.
I know. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, my parents went through a really rough separation, and I remember those games. I remember those games. And I also remember as a kid not wanting to hate one of the other as much as like they may have wanted me to hate them. And I can only imagine for you being the healthy one, how frustrating it must be. And was there some part of you that wishes they would have seen some of those nasty moments?
Yes and no. And so during that time frame, I had a therapist for my son, and because he was really at a critical age, my daughter was too, but she was at college. She had a boyfriend. She had her own life. She really, I think, tried to stay away as much as she could. But I was like, oh, my son, he's like going through puberty. Like, this is really a critical age for him. And I was that mother that said, oh, honey, like, I think he got busy. Oh, here, something happened. I bet his car broke down, and I always tried to paint his father in a different light than what he really was. And in my mind, I was protecting my child. His therapist sat me down and he said, stop. He needs to see his father for who he is. You have to stop doing this. And I broke down and I bawled like a baby because I knew what that was going to be like.
Yeah.
You just didn't want him to hurt.
Oh, and it's heartbreaking to see a fourth grader sitting on a couch, watching TV, waiting, keep looking out the window, and then to get a phone call and loud music in the background. It's obvious to him that his dad's drunk. He's somewhere and has some excuse about why he can't come. And then, watching that child get angry and he's drunk again, and just, I can imagine what that feels like. He's choosing alcohol over me, or what's wrong with me? How come he's not going to come? How come he's not at my soccer game? How come he's never around?
Yeah. You're an incredibly strong person. So I'm sure you can say, like, I can take that, but I'm not putting that on them. And so the natural thing is to protect them from it in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
But they're going to figure it out one way or another. So you guys separate. 18 months later, you finally divorce.
Probably and I've talked about a lot of the shit I've been through, but that was probably the toughest time of my entire life, that 18 months.
Really?
The emotional torture that took place is off the charts. I would get phone calls about suicide. I would get videos sent to me of him sitting in his truck with the garage down and it running. Like, this is it. I have nothing to live for anymore. I would get voicemails with nothing but a gunshot on them. I would get voicemails with, what is the stupid song about whiskey and...
Whiskey Lullaby?
Yeah. Yes. If to this day, if I hear that song, I turn it off immediately. Like, it's a serious trigger. And the game that they're playing, but there's that what if, but what if, and I could have stopped it, or and I remember talking to my therapist about this. Like, it's killing me. Like, my life is miserable dealing with this. And he said, put a stop to it. And here's what you do. Next time he does that, call the police and tell him, hey, man, there's someone that's getting ready to hurt themselves. You need to do a well check. He said, I promise it will stop. And I did that. And they checked him into a hospital for, 72 hours. And so he did stop.
He got to go hang out with the straitjacket for a little bit. He didn't want to do that anymore.
But that's the kind of stuff that I went through. And then, the hurting my children, this is what it's like. This is what you did. This is what you wanted. This is how things are going to be from now on.
He's made this all your fault. This is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So and we'll get to what he's like today or what you know about him today. But back then it was, you are the reason all this is happening. You're the reason.
Yep.
Did he ever at any point seem like the light bulb went off and he goes, oh fuck, it's me?
Yeah. He would flip flop, right? Whenever that wasn't working, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm going to change. Here's my plan. Here's what I'm going to do. Please, 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 Jenny, please, please. I'm not going to get he doesn't get what he wants. Oh, this is all your fault. Look what you've done. And so it was this back and forth every week.
Oh my God. So for 18 months, that was your reality. That was your life.
Yeah. During that 18 months, he did go to Europe and work. He was in Belgium but still continued the mind games, right? So he calls me one day and says, oh, I'm in Belgium. I've met the love of my life. I'm selling my house, putting my shit in storage, and I'm moving here. And all I could think of is, oh my God, like my kids are never going to see their dad. Like he's just totally throwing them away, this life away and all of that. And that was the first time in my life I experienced a panic attack. And I was like, oh my God, like what's happening here? What? I can't breathe. But it did something to me. And again, it wasn't me. Okay, great. You found the love of your life, whatever. But all I could think of is, wow, like you're disposing my children that easily. Ugh.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So the divorce ends, and is he still overseas for a while, or is he moving back home?
He doesn't stay. That was all bullshit. He comes back.
He comes
back. Yeah. So we move forward. I finally filed for divorce. I get to that point. I file for divorce. He gets served, and he ignores it.
That's not wise.
In Missouri, you have 30 days to respond. I'm like, shit, man, he hasn't even responded. Meanwhile, because I had everything planned, I already had everything laid out. This is what you get. This is what I get. Here's the worksheet. Here's how much you owe me in child support. This is how custody is going to go. All of that. I'm like, hey, man, you need to hire an attorney or something. You got to respond to that. Well, I think he just thought if I don't, then like it can't happen. Right. He does nothing, which again, in my mind, I'm like, fight. Like, and that sounds stupid. Some people be like, oh, that was awesome. It was so easy. But no, mentally, I was like, fight for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no, I showed up at court alone, or not alone, with my attorney in front of the judge. He didn't respond. He didn't show up. They look over everything and stamp it. Have a nice day. You're
like a
divorced.
summary judgment type deal. Mm-hmm. That's the way it works. You got to respond to those things.
Yeah.
If you get a nasty letter in the mail,
right.
Yeah, you got to say something.
Yeah. So he, I'll never forget when he called me. He was like, oh my God, Darren called me today and said, wow, see, you got divorced, because they published that shit in the newspaper.
Yeah.
That's how he found out he was divorced.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And still no real action on his part to do anything different. Words, empty shit, never really doing anything different.
Right.
So where do you go from here? So you're divorced now. This is obviously not what you wanted in your life.
Right.
Are you jaded at this point?
Very, very. I'm probably still somewhat jaded to this day, or so I'm told. Oh, but yeah, it definitely does something to me. I think about all those years of stuffing those emotions away and I just have to do what is necessary. I just have to keep going. And, it's during this time, during that 18 months of torture that I developed an autoimmune condition, the stress level in my life was unbelievable. Again, I shouldn't have drug it out for 18 months. I shouldn't have done that to my kids. I shouldn't have done that to myself. And quite frankly, I probably shouldn't have done that to him. But I did.
Out on your own now, do you feel better? Do you feel worse? Do you feel guilty? Like back then, texture of your mind right after the divorce?
For me, the guilt was real and it was very heavy. I don't think it's that way for everyone, because I see people that quickly jump over, they're remarried in 2 months, they've moved on. But for me, I had guilt. Like, did I do enough? Did I try enough? Did I help him enough? What could I have done differently? Again, at this point, I'm no longer in love with this person. I still love and care about them. And I can say that to this day. I still love and care about him. He's the father of my children. I spent 20 years of my life with him. We grew up together. We had great experiences and some successes. And you don't just walk away from that, But yeah.
So you've been able to categorize the holding two thoughts at the same time. Like, you can hold the thought that we had a good time, but never again at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a tough thing for a lot of people to do. It really is. Like, I think I say it every episode, like F. Scott Fitzgerald said that, like, the hallmark of real intelligence is being able to hold two opposing thoughts at the same time. Like, these things are not congruent and still retain the ability to function. It's tough to do, but you train yourself to do it. And at some point you're forced to do it. Like, you were forced to do this. The alternative is, I guess, you just choose to hate them forever. But what does that do? Like, what does that accomplish?
Yeah, I do think that I had to get I told you, like, I need to emotionally stab myself to walk out the door. And then I had to get this hate fire going inside me, because that's just how I knew how I was wired. I knew what would make me crumble. I knew what I had to do to get there. And so that was the path I took. Like, you're just going to hate him.
Yeah.
You hate what he did to you. You hate what he's done to your kids. You hate what he continues to do. Just get through. And I did. I used that. And I even had a few times I said some things in front of my kids I wish I wouldn't have. But then I moved on. And after the hate came the grief for me, which was real. Because he made sure that he was completely out of my life. And again, like 20 years growing up with someone, this is kind of sick to say, but it was almost like a sibling relationship, right? Like, you've been in my life more than you haven't. And and at this time, I'm just in my 30s, right? But like, you have been there with me. We've been through a lot together, and births and deaths and, financial transactions. And now you're punishing me by being completely gone. And so I mourned that. As weird as that might sound. And I mourned it for my children too, because he made sure that he, again, just continued to torture me through them.
Oh my God. So removed from it after that, how long until you even considered another relationship?
Oh gosh. I had a relation whenever I got a divorce. My divorce was actually final. I had met someone at that point.
Okay.
And I was as emotionally available as I allowed. And so, it's like, okay, yeah. And it took me a long time. Some people might say I'm not even completely there yet. I would disagree with that. But, to really take that wall down and be like, okay, it's okay. Like, if someone really, this is what a mature, loving relationship feels like. This is real. This is what happens. Like, this person genuinely loves you for who you are.
Man. And today, like, brief synopsis, what is he up to?
So, over the years, he's been to rehab. He went to California to treatment for a couple of months out there, professional facility, check-in, all of that. had some one-on-one video therapy with our kids, which I allowed. At the time, I was torn on it, and they really didn't want to participate, but his therapist kept pushing it and allowed it because he needed to apologize or whatever the process was that he was going through with them. And it broke my heart because it really gave them hope. You know, when you see them go through that, especially my son, he was so excited, like, oh, like he's getting fixed, you know, it's going to be okay. It's going to be better. He comes to town, you know, meanwhile, we've moved to Dallas by then. He comes to town. He spends a great weekend with him. They go to a hockey game. They do all this stuff. And, you know, oh, we're on the road. Things getting better. And I don't know. I think maybe he stayed sober for 60 days. Maybe.
Yeah.
And since then, he has, you know, continued to flip-flop. He's been sober a couple other times since then. He'll go for 12, 18 months, do good, be part of a community, a part of a program, and actually mentor people. And then I don't know if loneliness or depression gets the best of him. I'm not sure. But while he is sober, I will have a relationship with him, like as a support person, as a friend. I will do that. But it's the minute that I know that he is no longer sober, I cut off all communication.
And so you can split that in your mind too now, where it's like you can be there for him in some way. Because obviously you share kids.
Right.
So you share kids. You also share 20 years of the past. They're like I've always like with us, like I hope I die first because I cannot imagine what it would be like. We've been like, we literally grew up together.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that would be like.
Right.
Without you. And so like there's some of that too, right? There's some experiences you might have had, like an inside joke that only you would know.
Right. Yeah.
And you're able to square that in your mind where you can still have a relationship with someone without being in a relationship with somebody.
Right.
I think it's really healthy.
Yeah.
While he's sober though, like with boundaries, with contingencies.
Yeah. And he came around, he had taken the approach that I hate that bitch. She's horrible. She's horrible. I hate her. I hate her. I hate her. And then during one of his cycles of being sober, he did come back around and he told me, you know, you're a wonderful person. I'm sorry for everything that I ever did to you. I shouldn't have done that. And I'm thankful for the things that you've done. And which I needed. Like I really needed that. I needed to hear that. And I too apologize to him because the guilt is real for me. Anyway, some people, maybe it's not, but again, what did I not do? What could I have done better? And so that was real. It's funny. I saw a meme. I hate to say a meme. I guess it was a quote or something on social media, probably 6 months ago, like this recently, that said, "Please forgive me for what I did when I was in survival mode." And I really needed to hear that because there were things that I would intentionally set him up for, right? Set him up for failure because I knew it was going to happen. Like I need to prove to myself that you're going to drink in this situation. I need to prove to myself that you're going to lie to me right now. So I'm just going to set you up to do it. And, you know, that was shitty. But again, it was survival mode.
I think it was good validation.
You know? Yeah.
So coming out of that, I mean, I think it's an amazing story and testament that you can do it. Like you can step away from a really, really bad situation and be happy again. Like the sun will come up again. The sun will shine. You will laugh. You will be happy. You will have good days. You will know peace at some point. Even if you feel like losing that person could be that's worst case scenario. You've lived through every worst case scenario I could fathom. I mean, like truly. And so what's life like today?
Yeah. I mean, I would say you do learn to love again. You do find someone that you're like, wow, like where have you been my whole life? And, you know, God bless the broken road. It just happens certain ways, but know your worth. Know that, yes, there is somebody that will see you for who you are and we'll love that. And it does happen. So I've talked about all the ugly and terrible things that, you go through in the process. And I'm always very honest about that. Like, this is going to suck. I can remember having a friend that was getting ready to go through a divorce. And I was like, people can tell you whatever they want. Oh, things just get better. And I was like, it's going to suck for about a year. Just get ready and just know it and embrace it and just get through it. And later she thanked me. She said, you're the only person that set me up for reality. Everybody else was like, oh, it's going to be great. It's about time and all of that. Like, it's going to suck. You're going to be depressed. You're going to second guess, you're going to sit there alone with the divorced dog that you just bought and just, it sucks, but life does go on and, be patient with yourself, be patient with the process.
Looking back, would you have done anything different? Like, would you have left sooner? Would you hung on a little bit longer?
No,
anything like that? I
think everything works out the way it works out. I do think that I would have attended Al-Anon. I would have tried to better understand my feelings, my emotions. I would have tried to get that support that was more than just me in my own mind, right? Mm-hmm. Telling myself what to do, don't feel that way. It's okay to feel this way. I would have done that. And it was suggested to me many, many times. But then I think the stubborn side of Jenny was like, what the fuck? There's nothing wrong with you,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was just always there. And that was wrong. That was a wrong way to think about things.
I was the same way. I didn't go through anything. I was all alone, but a community is huge with this stuff. So I get it.
Yeah, which is that's why we created what we did, to make it more accessible to people. Obviously Al-Anon has online meetings, but like a program, an alternative to it, something we did. And the community's huge. Like, you're right. In those moments where it is like validation does mean something. Like, I think as tough as you are, like you even said, like in that moment, hearing like you were great, like you were amazing, you did everything, and I'm sorry for the way I acted. Like, that's huge in your healing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's requirement. I really do. Like, to be validated in some way, shape, or form, whether it be from them. I think very few people actually get validation from the addict or the alcoholic. I think, but it's helpful coming from others that have been there before too.
Yeah. That was critical, really, for me to move on. And I think, there's still a small piece of me that really needs for him to be okay, that needs for him to be happy before I can like fully allow myself to be 100% happy.
Yeah.
Which is messed up, I know, but that's just, again, the history, the father of my children. And, I still care about him. And some people don't understand that. I can remember post-divorce, because he's still in that small town, people calling me, oh my God, I just saw him at the bar. He's so drunk, or he was falling down in the parking lot, or, oh, did you see he got another DWI? Look, here's his mugshot. I literally got a text message of his mugshot. Do you think that makes me feel good?
No, you're just like, oh.
And it just, finally, I had to just say, stop. This is the father of my children. Like, I don't relish in this shit that's going on. It doesn't make me happy that he's stumbling down drunk. It doesn't make me happy that he got a DUI. Is that what you think that I'm thinking, or that's how you think this goes?
Yeah.
And so I think that's important for other people to hear that. Like, listen, that's not, maybe some people operate that way, right? Like, like they want the
F them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But just be mindful of that. Like, it's still, that's hurtful to me.
Yeah, we're still talking about a person who's obviously struggling, hasn't figured out the path, even though it was a well-worn one to get there, but still a human being.
Right.
Some compassion helps. So you're not a monster. You're not a monster. Okay, so closing words here. Advice that you would give to someone going through it. Like, I think that our membership's probably like 2,500 in the community. I would say the majority of them are where you were, during that period, like prior to Vegas, where some things are off, but I'm not 100% sure. There's some hope. There's plenty of hope left. Like, I'm going to turn over every stone. Like, if you could go back and talk to Jenny all those years ago? Or if you had a friend going through it, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about hope earlier, right? And this is kind of hard for me to say, but I would say don't let hope get the best of you. And it does. It's easy to say, but I mean, there comes a time you have to be very, very realistic about the prognosis and say, okay, hope is gone. All hope is gone. This is hopeless at this point, and I need to figure this out. I'd also say your feelings are real. That's another thing. I think that you have a hard time sometimes validating how you feel, and that can be the hope, that can be the compassion, it can be the get me the hell out of here. And there's so many outside factors that are shooting at you, whether it's society or your friends or your family that are saying, oh, you're so stupid. Why would you do that? Or you better stay for the kids. You're hearing it all. And you just have to trust yourself, right? And pause and know that the way that you feel is real. And, you have to look out for you.
So trust your gut, trust your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Paige has talked about that more times than I can count. Like I don't know what it is. If it's just since we've started doing this and I've gotten to know so many amazing women, and I'm not like one of these performative, virtue signaling type guys where I'm like, oh, women are awesome. But like, I really do trust the intuition of women. I do. Like, I don't know if it's a motherly thing or what, or maybe I'm just dumb. I don't know. Like every woman around me has just always been right. And I'm not just saying that. And I know that that's probably not the case all the time, but in my experience, people in these types of situations are right. Mm-hmm. Your gut is right. Your instincts are correct. And I love that you're backing that up and saying like, trust them, just trust them.
Yeah, absolutely. Trust it. Other advice, I touched on it a million times. Have a plan. You have to always have a plan. Again, if you're in a situation where your life is in danger, all that goes out the window.
Get the hell out of there.
Yeah, you just need to get yourself and your children safe. But if you are in situations like I was, or just the regular run-of-the-mill alcoholics, have a plan and go for it.
Solid.
Last question. The kids' relationship, like today, they tight with their dad?
It's 99% non-existent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think that they blame you or he still blames you?
I don't think so now. I think that they see and know him for who and what he is.
They're adults now.
Yeah. And he knows that I did not turn them against him. Even as recent as last year, I was like, it's your son's birthday. Have you talked to him yet? Because I still want for there to be some sort of connection there. I've since decided I'm not doing that anymore, right? Because I ended up just being in a hurtful situation, and I'm not going to be the cause of that anymore. But yeah, it's pretty much non-existent. Yeah, that's so hard to accept. I mean, as a parent, to be like, you don't love our kids the way I don't understand. And not that he doesn't. I'm sure he loves it. He just has different ways of showing up.
Man, it's tough. I think addiction's an incredibly strong thing. And like, I love your honesty saying like, I don't fucking get it. I don't get it. Like it's a bottle of liquid and is it that important? And like intuitively, I can speak for myself as an addict, like, no. And like, we're aware of it, but like, I can't put that shit down. It's the craziest feeling in the world when you're in it. The most frustrating part about an addict is that you can recognize that, the whole world can recognize that, even the addict can recognize that, but they still have that thought in the back of their mind, like, oh, I'm going to fix this. I know how to fix this. And that is the most frustrating thing. I think everyone's got a pain tolerance to some degree. I would say that you have a very high pain tolerance in general, like very high, but even you have your limits.
Yeah.
And I just can't thank you enough for like coming here, telling this story. I mean, I think personally, like selfishly, I know for us, Paige, like this has been awesome. Like getting to know you in a way that I always knew you had something going on behind those eyes, and now it's confirmed.
We have a lot more in common than I thought.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a very private person by nature, and yeah, a lot of what I said today is probably being spoken out loud for the first time.
Yeah, and I can't thank you enough for that, for offering that here. And it's
Thank
not
you.
just, I mean, I'm sure it's cathartic for you. It's cool for us, but like there's thousands and thousands of people that are going to hear this. And I think that there's so many golden nuggets in this conversation that they can go back and listen to and reference and inspire people with it. You know, like I think that we've said it before, like recovery, whether it's the type of recovery that you went through or like what I do and addicts do, it's alchemy, right? So it's taking trash, taking lead and turning it into gold, and finding empowerment through some of the darkest moments, like finding meaning in shit. And you've managed to do it. And you are one of the, I think, the rare cases of someone that has not only done it, but like this is surviving to thriving, like absolutely thriving. But I wanted people to hear it because I think they need to know it's possible. Like that's the hope I would love for people to start thinking about, like get hopeful about that. Like for guys like me that don't want to get help, choose not to get help. Like don't hope me. Don't hope on me. Hope on something else. Like hope in what Jenny's done. Hope in like that story. That could be your life. Like happy, successful, jet setting. I mean, you live an amazing life today.
I do. And, I think that's important to say too, because it's not just the getting away, getting emotionally out of it, but it is having the life that you want and you deserve and going for it and being happy. Like it's okay to be happy.
Yeah. And the independence that comes along with, like, what I've always loved about you is like, I'll be scrolling Instagram or something like that. And I'm like, Jenny's fly fishing by herself. Jenny's at a Cardinals game by herself. Like Jenny went wherever. Like you understand like what it takes to be happy with or without somebody. And you choose to be with the people that you love and adore, but you don't rely on anyone else for your happiness. I think that is just so fucking amazing.
It is.
I love that so much.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that was the process that I went through, right? Where it's like, okay, I can't be dependent on others to be in charge of my life, to be in charge of my emotions. I'm in control of that. I decide what I'm doing. I am allowed to be happy, being me, doing what I want, cruising down the road in a Land Cruiser, whatever it might be. And, and that's okay. Like that's cool.
I love that so much.
I love it.
I think that should be the hope. That should be the hope that people aspire to have if you've turned over every stone and assholes like me aren't doing anything. That should be the hope. Like that's way more exciting anyway. You get to pick who you choose and let in, and you're going to be happy one way or another. But happiness is possible. I love that. I can't thank you enough for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Any closing thoughts, Paige?
No, just thank you so much. You said it all.
Okay, sorry. Okay, awesome. Well, until next time, I am Matt.
I'm Paige.
And we'll see you.
Bye.